Hi friends, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to continue reading Lifeline's story in Pathfinder's Quest. Last time, we left off at reading the history of the IMC and reading about what Titans are and how the war started. And if you haven't checked out that video yet, please be sure to check out my channel. I've created a playlist for all the readings that we have for Pathfinder's Quest. Now, on to the video. Continuation of the interview transcript for Lifeline. Wow, a lot happened in 700 years. You don't say. It's always measured by wars, though. After the militia took power, there was a final battle at the last IMC-controlled planet, Gridiron. And what happened next? Well, and no one really knows. It's a mystery? I have a lot of those. I'm sure someone knows, but they ain't talking out loud. Anita's probably the closest. I'm sure she can fill you in. But all I really learned was that a blackout cut off all communication throughout the frontier. That was over a decade or so ago. No one really knows what happened, how the battle at Gridiron ended, except for maybe Anita. But even she was deeply affected by it. All we know is that one day, everything stopped. All the beacons the IMC built throughout the frontier went down, just like that. One big blackout. Those who supported the militia were promised refuge, but no one came. The militia abandoned those people. They were no better than the IMC. Those poor people in the frontier were toyed with by both sides. That's why it's hard to say who is actually good, you know? Plenty of people cared for the militia, but plenty didn't. Plenty didn't care much for the IMC either. It's hard to trust anyone who promised you everything. The IMC promised them safety and security, and then they took all they had and left. The militia promised them safety and security, and then depleted them, all they had, and disappeared. You can only promise what you can promise. There are limits, which is something the Frontier Corps taught me. You see, they stepped in when both sides were gone. They helped me with the great migration of those left stranded in the frontier, and brought them here in the Outlands. Now, I'm not an expert on the Outlands. You can probably get more out of Givy, Natalie, or your best friend Wit. I love him. Yeah, we know you do. So, if you're looking for more info on this whole area, I'd chat with them. But as for me, I grew up on Samath. And that place, well, it was a little more secluded than the other planets. I worked on Samath once. I was a cook at a restaurant in Olympus's fine dining district. No way, you worked at Teme? I used to go there all the time when I was little. But you know how expensive that place is, and that's the real problem with my family. We were rich. Sure, that wealth led to a pretty sweet upbringing. How many people do you know who had currency named after them? But having a shake coin didn't really matter when I found out where that money actually came from. Oh no, it didn't come from happiness, did it? Because that would be great. Afraid not. It was definitely no birthday party. I'll tell you that much. But it was a party. I spent the early part of my life in a gown. I mean, don't get me wrong. I liked it. I looked good. I ate the best food. And the parties, they were something else. I did have a good time. My parents used to throw those galas for their rich friends at least once a month. I didn't know at that time what the point of these parties was. I just knew that I was there to look my best and entertain the kids. The Silvas used to come all the time. That's Octane's Silvas. You two have an interesting friendship. You're right, Path. Interesting is one word. Octavio Silva, or Octane, now that he is a legend. His family was friends with my family. The two of us have known each other for a good long time now. His parents didn't do business with mine. They were just friends. The wealthy on Samath tend to run in the same circles, and we ran in some circles. We went to the same private schools. The same friends' birthday parties, the same everything. It was all fine back then, but when I changed, I guess everything changed. And it was that party when it all went down, when trust broke. I think I was 19. It was another monthly gala with people from Solace to the now Fringe Worlds. But this time, my parents were celebrating the opening of Chevrolet Inc.'s new drone facility on Olympus. It was sort of a big deal. But none of that stuff ever interested me, which is probably why it all just happened right under my nose. And then there are some facts about the Frontier Corps and Planet Samath. Frontier Corps, founded in 2711, the Frontier Corps is a publicly funded volunteer program whose primary mission is to provide social, medical, and economic development support through the frontier while promoting mutual understanding among citizens. Planet Samath. Samath can most effectively be described as a gated planet. The richest Outlands residents live here, and it's incredibly difficult for anyone from lower classes to move up to socio-economic ladder. The Dionysus Resort, an exclusive club frequented by only the most elite of the elite, is located on Samath's single moon of the same name. The innovative research metropolis of Olympus rests in Samath's lower atmosphere. Samath's planetary government is an oligarchy government by a council of its wealthiest residents, who of course send representatives to council meetings rather than attending in person, making it more of a dichology. It has no official military power, but conflicts are resolved by its citizens' personal armies. Wow, so you and Octane have always been like this. I guess you could say we were back in the day. Even later I found out the truth about my parents and left that life. Silva was the only one I kept in touch with. Although he was trapped in his family's wealth, he was not too bad at living his own life. He had a massive following on the feed and traveled all over the Outlands for thrill competitions. It's because of him that I had a chance to leave, and he knew why I wanted to. The night of that party, the two of us stumbled upon the truth. That's the night I saw what Ch01 was actually doing. That's the night I learned who my parents really were. War profiteers. I was embarrassed, angry. I was changed. After that night, Silva was heading to Solace for a gauntlet competition and offered to bring me along. I wasn't ready to face my parents. I was disgusted with them and with myself. But most of all, I didn't know who I really was anymore. I figured maybe the trip would do me good, so I packed up a few things and we charted the first ship off planet. I never had been to Solace up until that point. Can you believe that? I sheltered myself. I mean, why would I have wanted to leave my home and everything I owned? Silva left cause that kid got bored easily. But me, I thought I had it all. I was wrong, and Solace City shoved that in my face pretty quick. I remember the first thing we did was stop into the Paradise Lounge for a beverage. I had never gone into a place like that for any reason, but the old me was wrong and gone. I had a new start, and it was time to test that out. Paradise Lounge is Elliot's bar. I've been there. Right, so you know why we barely took 2 steps in before turning around. That place smelled like old booze and seawater. We didn't want to take the chance to catch, well, anything. Luckily, there was a music joint not far from that place. We sort of followed that sound. It was faster and carried much more edge than what we were used to on Samath. Well, at least more than what I was used to. Silva always sought out new things like that. He could never sit still. Boredom is his greatest fear. I guess that's why he's got such an exciting personality, which is probably why everybody was friends with him. Like the musicians playing near the Paradise Lounge. Apparently, Silva did a racing competition to Gaia one year where this band performed. It worked out for me, because they left me in awe. The musicians were just like their music. Raw, edgy, and real. To tell you the truth, Path, I didn't even know what a t-shirt was before then. I was used to gowns and dresses. But it was a new life. So it was time for a new look. I bought a shirt with the band's name on it, The Flyer Liars. For someone who just started to lose trust in everyone, it just felt right to fall in with that crew. I ended up staying behind with the band while Silva continued on to his competitions. He cared, and still cares, a lot about his fans, so he had no problem moving on without me. I went on the road with the band for a bit, mostly around Solace. Karen KK Cool played the drums. She called it therapeutic. So I figured I'd pick up some sticks and give it a try. I loved it. Not saying it was my calling or anything, but big things came from that moment. I started a new life. I filled in on the drums every now and then, when KK couldn't make a gig. I'd say about half a year went by, and I still hadn't spoken to my parents. It wasn't until the band got booked on Samath, who would never even come close to affording just the scraps on Teme. These were the types of people I never even knew existed because of my upbringing. And probably because of my ignorance too. But like I said, I was changed and I saw it all now. I saw those in need. I saw those struggling while the wealthy paraded around making things worse for everyone else. It was seeing those people who had just lived around the corner from me my entire life without me ever bothering to look at them that made me finally get the guts to say in a word or two to my parents. And I did. I went home and faced them. I told them that I didn't want anything to do with the family's money anymore. They didn't really understand, but I didn't expect them to. Heh. And now I see that in time I've been gone, they've done the opposite of what I hoped. They dropped straight down the rabbit hole. I hope they realize how far gone they are before it's too late. I hope it wasn't too late for me. You're a legend, like me. Nah, Path, I'm no legend. I'm just trying to do my part.